Mr President, federal opposition leader, the Honourable Peter Dutton, has proposed to cut 41,000 jobs from the Australian Public Service as part of the Coalition's election plan. Analysis by Greens Senator Barbara Pocock has revealed that the Coalition's plan equates to approximately 3,700 Australian public sector workers here in South Australia. That is the equivalent of 3 times the number of workers currently employed by the Whyalla Steelworks, and equates to approximately 1 in 4 of Australian public sector workers here in our state. My question to the Minister for Industrial Relations and Public Sector therefore is the Minister concerned about the potential for significant job losses for South Australians under a Dutton government? And has the state government done any modelling on support packages that may be required to support workers at risk?
Attorney General.
I thank the honourable member for a question, and it is a good question, because if we had 40,000 federal public servants cut, it would have dire consequences right around the country. Some economists have even talked about the possibility of that alone plunging Australia into recession. But more than that, it is a perfect illustration of something we know is simply in the DNA of the Liberal Party at state and federal levels. At state and federal levels, sir, we're seeing this pledge now from the federal Liberal Party to cut 41,000 public sector jobs. And, sir, let's not forget how ingrained this is in the Liberal Party's DNA, sir. Who can forget the former Leader of the Opposition in the lead up to the 2014 state election, Isabel Redmond, promising to slash 20,000 state public sector jobs, promising to cut a quarter of the state public sector. This is an intrinsic value of the Liberals in South Australia, across the nation, and we're seeing it play out in the federal parliament, sir. And if there's anything that we're learning at the moment, it is these Trump-like-style policies. The Doge-style cuts don't resonate with Australians. And I know many members opposite love the Trump-style politics, that culture wars, that slashing the public sector.
The Honourable Dennis Hood.
Sir, standing orders specifically rule out opinion. The Minister...
Everyone knows it. Order. Excuse me. Order. I'm trying to listen to the Honourable Dennis Hood.
The Minister implicated members of the opposition's preference for the President of the United States policies, which he can't possibly know, sir.
Well, I need
point of order on the point of order.
I need to rule on the point of order
well,
first.
The opinion is specifically to the asking of questions, not to the answering of questions. Oh, and further point of order, the previous the Honourable Ben Hood question was laden with opinion about the crime youth offender rates.
Order. Now, what I will say is better if you just stuck to the substance. You know, I think drifting off to order. I'm actually speaking, Minister. Can you just get on with your answer? I need a couple more questions today, otherwise we'll be short of our quota.
Thank you, sir. In relation to the honourable member's question, about the slashing of massive public service cuts, and the honourable member talked about Whyalla and the way the South Australian government stepped in there and the support that will be needed, and the question was directly in relation to what support might be needed if there are these huge job losses right around Australia. I think it is a good example that the honourable member has used. It wasn't the private sector that stepped in to support the Whyalla Steelworks. It was the Government of South Australia, with the federal government taking the lead on doing that, and so ably and essentially supported by public sector agencies, workers who provided all sorts of advice, legal advice, financial advice about how we can have the steelworks survive, sir. And we do know, sir, that if there was a different sort of government in South Australia, we would see the Trump-like policies that they are so fond of, meaning you wouldn't have seen that sort of support, sir. You would have seen those cuts, and you will see the cuts, sir, no doubt, if we see a Liberal... based on everything every Liberal Party ever does, sir. That's the main sort of thing. Based on their... All right. Okay.